called 12 Years a Slave.
4 years a slave.
12 years, 12 Years a Slave, because it gives you another perspective of what happened at that time. And this is why they gave you a narrative that basically limited your perspective of what actually happened in those times. So we have to we have to really do due diligence and just reevaluate all of that history through another lens and really dig deeper into that, because a lot of this information that they was giving us in school, they was lying, they was omissions, they was revisionists, and we got to keep that in mind.
Reconstruction.
It,
Reconstructionists.
it's
And real
it's
quick,
wrong, brother. I seen that 12 Years a Slave, and the brother was living his life, had a family and everything up north where they so-called Union states was. So that narrative from that movie kind of made me feel like the Union and so-called black people having rights and stuff. That's what made me believe that. Like all those movies you watch, Harriet, all those movies come out, they always ran north. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't down south. Like Harriet was running the Underground Railroad from Philly all the way back down to North Carolina, South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's this is beautiful. This is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one because I need to know this. I need to learn this. Islam.
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 Real
They
quick,
all
Islam.
real quick. I hit record, so I want to do a. Let me do a little recap real quick, and you got the floor, James Conway Bay. I hit record real late, so I want to do just a little recap. Come up, be sending this out to some people. I can tell we about to start cooking. So I'm laying the foundation with the Moabite Moorish flag of the human family. Anything with a moon and star, we're talking about Muslim, ancient Islam, um, old Mecca, old Mech, indigenous culture. Um, of course, we know this is a national flag. We're doing a demonstration. We went into the Gettysburg Address. We're talking about how to deal with the civil rights war between the North and South. Now we're getting to Confederate flags. We did a summary of how the only confederacies in America was the people forming confederations. The only people forming confederations were the people that were tagged Indian that had tribes and formed confederations where all these tribes linked up because of the foreign invasion that was taking place. So we settled our petty differences. We've also established that these Indians are really Moors, and it's been documented in multiple congressional records, etc. So I want to do a light summary. As you can see, it's crescents and stars, which lets you know that the Confederate States were Islamic. But go ahead, James Conway Bay. I just wanted to do a little quick run through right quick.
Islam, even on what you like, I want to camel back off what you just said about um the Confederacy, their flags being Islamic. It was one of the brother Asir Dukatir's right before I really went visually impaired. He had showed a picture or a photo of the mother of the Confederacy, and she was a dark skinned woman.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So you go. Yeah.
Islam.
Whoever hasn't heard of Asir Duke of Tears, yeah, he a walking library. So yeah, he got a bunch of demonstration where he get into this space. But um before I start keep talking, anybody else have any thoughts on this space?
Islam. I wanted to address the brother. The movie 12 Years a Slave did have some inaccuracies in it, but it gives you a view of that history that's not normally taught. And what I want to get people to realize is that that history is so it tainted and misinterpreted that you need to go back on it and actually do your own review, because even with the whole concept of the slave system, the whole land wasn't the plantation was the only place where the jurisdiction of the slave system was being enforced. There was something called free Indian land, right, where we were operating on that land without being encumbered by that system, and that's something that will basically spark another aspect of that history. We have to really continue to get these little tidbits of information that's coming, and then broaden it.
Islam. And I thank you for saying that because you jogged my thought process before I hit record. It's a lot of truth and falsehood strangely mixed in these documentaries. Um, and I'm glad another point he brought out that was great. These colonies were just a small fraction of the Americas. That was a slither of the East Coast, these 13 colonies, right? So we were still operational. Remember, if we got the Sundry Free Moors Act in 1790, and it's our people saying we don't need to be subjected to the, Negro laws and all that. This was shortly after the treaty. This was shortly after the letter from George Washington to our emperor. So it was a consciousness of our people. Like, hold on, yeah, that slither of that on the East Coast of our people that y'all got indoctrinated to think they Negroes and black. We get all that, okay, cool, but we're not. We're over here. We know what's going on. So keep these things in mind. The Confederate States or the home team. Also remember the Trail of Tears, which was when we had people that were from indigenous tribes in the South that they shipped north and scrambled them so they wouldn't have no, they wouldn't be equipped with the terrain to be inspired to start revolutions and stuff like that. So these movies will blend all that in, but most importantly, these movies are going to make you feel the slave dynamic was deeper than what it was. Most of the slaves were Albions, even at this time, even though it's promoted as us, but it was really them. You have a difference between U.S. history and world history. And the U.S. history is only going to talk about it from their perspective. That's why they always talk about the founding fathers. But of who? Like U.S. history going to talk about founding fathers, but what world history going to talk about founding fathers to be? The Moors, right? So you have to understand that too. We were heavily indoctrinated. Any other thoughts, comments, statements on this before we continue here? All right. So yeah, when we're speaking with the people on this space and we're doing our uplifting acts, missionary work, lay a practical foundation like we're doing right now, and that goes a long way. Goes a very long way because no matter how many times studied Moors have talked about these flags, it's still not ingrained in people. People still looking at that same one Confederate flag that they flaunt around here, but it was multiple. There were Confederate states with an S. That means plural. It wasn't just one. And when you start looking at most of the Confederate flag, they got a crescent and a star, which deal with the creed of the people in America. These were Muslims fighting for the Republic. So that's what the Civil War was about. Remember, we popped it off with the Gettysburg Address, and it was a slow build to this, right? So I recommend that same slow build when you're talking with the general people. Most people, if they went to school, they know about the Gettysburg Address, what that was about. All right, so that's that. The Battle of Gettysburg. Okay. The Battle of Gettysburg is one of the bloodiest battles fought here, and the graves are filled with Moors. The irony of the South fighting the North for freedom, or not, is that the battle was fought on the real property of what they call a free slave in their modern documentaries. However, he was a Moor who was never ever a slave in the first place. See the Sundry Free Moors Act, etc. The tables seem to be turned at this time, yet The pendulum always swings back the other way, and the cause and effect is always in effect. Moors' obligations to others and other obligations to Moors is outlined in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The treaty and the Constitution for the United States of America Republic are equally valid today. One cannot be acknowledged without the other. The treaty is written perpetually, but is to be revisited every 50 years for any adjustments or amendments. It was revisited in 1836. The only change was those who were present, as the Sultan had passed form and his son was present on his behalf. It has not been revisited since then, as those who would treat of it believe, by way of false teachings, that they have nothing to do with it. So, of course, most of the people that are part of the treaty think they black, Negro, color, that they got nothing to do with Morocco and all this. So that's why it's inactive. And that they are descendants of Negroes, colored, black, Afro Americans, African Americans, etc. The European colonists, who needed to preserve the treaty for their own safety protection, can now bury it and pretend it doesn't exist. They act and speak for Moors because those brand names are chattel property and fictitious corporate entities that have no rights to secure. This is why in court, they want you to have someone else speak for you, and then they sentence you. Now, Brother Ansor.
Islam.
Islam, yes, sir. I'm traveling, but I'm listening in with y'all. I just got your text message.
Islam. I gotta do this for the brother. I'm gonna do a light summary so you can see the topic at hand that we're dealing with.
Okay.
By the way, for everybody in the chat, it's the brother, it's the mayor that I've been working with, Sun Village. We're trying to do some great things out there, but we're talking about
Yes,
the Gettysburg Address. We're talking about Abraham Lincoln. We're identifying the parties of the North and the South. The North being the Union, the Confederate States being the Moors labeled Indian that form confederacies like the Iroquois Confederation. And then we start looking at the flags of some of these Confederate states, how they had crescent moon and stars, which represent Islamic creed, distinguished from that one that they keep showing in our face with the flag and the X, right? So we lay the foundation that these Confederate states was us, fighting against the Union Pilgrims. And it's not this white supremacist thing, right? So just to catch you up to speed a little bit.
yes, sir. I'm in tune with that.
All right, Islam. All right. So those who think they are Negro, colored, Black, African American victims of slavery usually begin their history on slave boats from Africa. Subsequently, they also end their history there as well, because its origin and its nature does not allow for anyone to honestly trace their history beyond that point. As soon as one goes past the 17th century, prior to those brands, they enter immediately into the Moorish history all over the world. It is a necessity to establish rules of law, particularly for the uncivilized, for the purposes of maintaining civilization. These ancient laws are derived from the matriarchal natural law for commonality of all. This is why the Constitution, on one hand, is referred to as one of the oldest and ancient documents. And on the other hand, people think it came about only for and by the European colonists, ratified in 1791. The principles of civilization are ancient, and many have stood for the preservation of them. Downright murder and theft holds no candle to morals, ethics, and the truth. Destruction of the liberties, burning of the books destruction of libraries and burning of the books have left a seemingly clean slate to introduce misinformation. And that is exactly what has happened. Just like the brother said, these movies have been coming out, which is confusing the people because they're giving truth and falsehood, right? So the Reconstruction era is a more recent demonstration of reconstructing the literature and preparing for a miseducation. This is why one will find that older writings have the greatest appeal. And that goes from dictionaries to law books to anything. The older the book, the more uncut information you're going to get. The principles of civilization are ancient, and thus we, the people of the United States, of which are many, and we went through this last week. When you're saying the United States, what did we talk about last week? You got the United States of Mexico, you got the United States of Peru, you got the United States of Venezuela, you got the United States of Nicaragua, the United States of Chile. It's a bunch of United States in America. But when you just say the United States of America, which one? That's too vague, right? So that's how they plan us too, right? Adopted this Constitution for the United States of America, as stated in the preamble. Anyone is endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights of birth or birthrights, which cannot be bought, sold, or transferred, nor could the exercising of them be made void or turned into a crime. The Constitution protects, preserves, and secures those unalienable rights and guarantees a republic. A republican, notice how it says matriarchal? So, republic form of government is what the Confederate States were fighting for to keep. We didn't want the democracy. The Confederate States didn't want the Union States vision because it was anti-matriarchal. It was against the matriarch. The Confederate States were fighting against democracy. They wanted a republican form of government. Anything outside of that has no standing. It is a travesty when the civilization principles which establish the rules of engagement or government are not honored by those who say they are mothers and fathers of the civilization, as they are the very ones or the descendants who established and authorized by way of writing them and securing these principles as the supreme law of the land. So keep in mind, when we're talking about the Constitution, or we're talking about the governors of the pilgrims once they were organizing themselves. So before they got the founding fathers, they had to establish ambassadors amongst themselves, organization. All right. So, like we talked about at the college and the week before, the supervisors of these pilgrims to make sure that their organizational skills and government structure skills are getting more polished were Moors, were the 8 presidents that were before George Washington, John Hanson, the Moor, right? That's what the articles, I mean, that's what the Continental Congress, the first Continental Congress and the second Continental Congress, these were all presidents before George Washington. These were all supervisors to make sure the pilgrims were not only bathing and not bringing a plague over here, but getting their morals up and getting their government structure game up. Finally, they elected George Washington, Thomas Barclay, Thomas Jefferson, because they studied who? Why do you think they call their document the Articles of Confederation? They didn't even know what that word meant. They studied what the home team doing, the Confederate States. That's why these pilgrims called their document of organization the Articles of Confederation. Why do you think they choosing that lingo, Confederation? Because they're watching us. All right, so remember, I'm saying stuff like this because we're doing our missionary work. We want to make bullet point, plain information for the people to help them understand what is the Moorish paradigm, what's the mission, what is this about, right? Failure to acknowledge and honor our own inalienable rights allows for others to violate them. It has caused great degradation to man and mankind. This continued dishonor can only be rectified by the originators, the Aboriginal and indigenous people of the planet, who have a responsibility and obligation. It's kind of like when you get this information, you can't go back. Once you get introduced to the truth, it's like, okay, either you're going to act like you didn't see it, go back to what you was doing, or you fully immersed in it. You're going to try to do your part to getting this, thing back in order incrementally, best you can. You can't save the world. That's impossible. But enough of us can be locked in where we can do some great work and be tangible, right? All right. So most of us already know about free white person. Um, I want to I want to hear some thoughts on this. Yeah, I want to hear some thoughts on this space before I continue, especially like Shaolin Bay, James Conway, maybe even Brother Ansar, Azrael, Dave Martinez, Hassan. Yeah, anybody. I'd love to hear any type of thoughts on this space before I continue here.
No, it's just
Yeah, I'm soaking it all in. You know what I'm saying? Because that's something for me to study and get right. Because this is all new information for me. To be honest with you, Islam.
Wow.
no, I was just going to say it's just interesting to look at the definitions. Like it says, those who think they are Negro, colored, Black, Afro American, African American, etc. Just the idea that there's we've been fed one definition and one history of everything, and we never get a chance to actually see another side, so we can actually put together a full story. So this, provides more information for us to actually put together something instead of just going by what we've been taught all the time.
Mhm. Yep. Be more equipped, right, to speak with our people, right? You know, and this movement right here, like I'm even myself, I'm relatively new to the movement. I might have maybe like 7 years, right? But prior to getting into this, um, well, it was 7 years before I understood what a Moor was. That was the first mark where I found out about the Moors, and I never looked back. Type of space, right? It's been about 7 years total. Um, so since I'm relatively new to this space, it gave me a chance to compare and contrast other movements that are religious or any other movement for our quote unquote people for the redemption. The differences, right, are this is factual and it's dealing with nationality, birthrights. The other one will be strictly how I feel about something or this is my God or type of space, right? So this is the only movement that can break history and law down and put it together and answer people the questions. It's not really about my opinion on things. A lot of this stuff is already documented, and a lot of this stuff I've heard about in school from a vague perspective. Boston Tea Party. You know, when I heard about the Boston Tea Party, when I first heard or reading how they painted their faces dark to act like they were the Indians throwing the tea off the boat, they've painted their faces dark so it wouldn't look like to the British higher ups that they did it, that they were rebelling. They painted their faces dark because they were trying to emulate the people that was already here, which was dark, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just stuff like that, stuff hidden in plain sight, right? Just simple stuff like that. Um, Things get highlighted as you start digging, right? James Conway Bay, you got something?
Islam. I was just camelbacking off of what you were saying, especially with this teaching us, because when we as we look into these things, we can take out the what we have been taught about what we in our minds perceive what is racism. We can take that out of our minds and see that on a heavier front that it was a plan of action to make the indigenous people forget who they were so that uh, corrupt people could thrive and the people that lost their sensibility of who they are and where they came from, they wouldn't know for centuries or even longer. But now things are coming full head of steam, especially like even Campbell backing off of you saying looking into older books and it being giving us a kind of a clear cut instead of being watered down, and that being a great helpful piece to for us to put the pieces together, the puzzle together, to show us the things that we're missing, so that we can look at ourselves in a different light rather than looking at ourselves as other than victims or others as the or hateful people or um, people that just are so mean. And we can also look and see the misguided how we also had a part in our own or the indigenous people having a part in their own demise. Islam.
Wow, exactly, exactly. Um, Vernon Watson Bay.
I just wanted to enter in this information that may spark other thought is the fact that the concept that we're using, indigenous, right? Yes, we are the indigenous people, but we also are the autochthonous people, meaning, and the difference between indigenous and autochthonous is our people never migrated here from nowhere. We were always here. That's the difference. The indigenous people, they've been here for a long time, but their ancestors may have migrated from somewhere else. So we got to have, it's not to separate us, the distinction, but it's to give a more clear understanding on the what they call the First Nation people and who are the Paleo Americans and things of that nature. We have to really understand we are the ones who have been here, and basically everybody else are just getting here. If you want to understand it from the perspective of historical comparisons, or I mean, a time comparison, we've been here for, man. It's no time to even to add to it. Like I said, no time to even calculate it, or you know what I'm saying, quantify it. I just wanted to add that.
Islam. Any other thoughts, comments, statements?
Peace.
Islam.
Islam, Shaolin Bay.
Um, Now, yeah, I appreciate you putting this information out in this way because when I was in high school, I didn't really pay attention to history like this. So maybe I feel like I'm able to see it in a more clear lens, and then be able to go back and compare and contrast kind of what they're telling, like what history is in certain events, and compared to what actually went down with us. So I just appreciate this. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Add this to y'all too, Bell. You got something?
Yes, I wanted to share something. So I see that it says these ancient laws are derived from a matriarch, right? And I don't know if I share with you guys, but I'm going to be sharing some slides and a presentation a little bit later on some things I've learned about the matriarch. And then when it flipped to the patriarchal side with the colonies, and pretty much how far back it goes and how it's really affected us in generations. And may things may have cleaned up a little bit now, but it still affects the generations to come. And you guys will understand what I mean, all the repercussions when I show the slides. But I just wanted to say it was very matriarchal in government before, anciently. And there's going to be some like artwork and yeah, some pieces I'm going to show you guys that show that. So I just wanted to say that. I yield.
Islam.
Could I add something? Um, right before the sister just spoke, someone else was speaking, and they mentioned the people that we called that they're called Native Americans or First Nations and stuff. And I'm glad he brought that up because sometimes this information conflicts with their history and with accepted history. And I have a very close relationship to some Native American people out there in Arizona, and I have a goddaughter that's actually part of one of the Native American tribes. And my friend and I talk all the time about the fact that there's this other narrative that we as melanated people were already here at in prehistory. And it's also a documented scientific fact because they found skulls in South America showing whatever names they give it, Negroid type, or Australian type, or whatever, Aboriginal type. um and the thing is, I have to be careful myself because the information that me as a learning from these types of sources and researching and from other sources, I don't want to offend, say more or less Native American people. I don't want to take away from their story of them how they got here, because a lot of them will say in their history and stuff that they did migrate from somewhere else. And so we know that they're more or less more like Mongolian type, of people. And but I'm just glad he brought that up because it's hard for me sometimes, um like loving Native American culture so much, but then knowing that there's also another narrative out there of what may have been here already, in the prehistory of America. So I'm just really glad he brought that up because it's been a conflict. I was thinking about my own self, like, dang, how do I still be cool with my Native American friends and not take away from their story, but then also maintain this narrative also. So I'm just glad that that came up.
Yeah, and that's what this is about. Because like how we pulled up to the college, I want to pull up to reservations. Um, and that's how I start. Like it's a network. Like how you're coming to people in that space. Maybe you can invite me out as a guest, and I can package something very diplomatic where we're not hurting nobody's feelings. We, you know, very like I said, diplomatic. That's the best word I can think of right now. Because they might want to unite with what we're doing. They might want to help expand what we're doing. You never know. Sometimes,
Islam.
okay, Islam, but that's Islam.
Um, yeah, yeah, Grand Sheik, listen, like I hear what y'all saying, but I feel inside that that's kind of gonna be like inconceivable because really us re- us relating the information to them will tear the pillars down of everything of their history they've been taught. So it's kind of like inconceivable to avoid some type of conflict in some type of way because they'll go to their chiefs with the information and the chiefs, they're more lighter skinned and things of that nature, and they're not really going to comply with the things. I feel like it's going to cause a lot of conflict because basically by us telling them who we are and what we were and what we still are to this day, but it's being hidden, that's going to offend them. Like seriously speaking, it's going to offend them because they're going to be like, "Well, dag, we thought we was the tribes. The government is helping us. They're not helping you, and all that other stuff like that. Like the government give them land and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to cause a little conflict, and I yield.
Well, can I say something before Brother Mafi, before you say anything? I do agree there will cause some conflict because, as you know, just within the tribes themselves, there's conflict over who's a full-blooded Native American. And you mentioned that some of their chiefs are lighter skinned, and that's also true. And it's the same story basically. They got either they're recognized. If they're not recognized, they kick people out of the tribes all the time for being quote unquote black, or for being not having a connection, or even people who are not black who are in their tribes, because I know for a fact that my friends' nieces are not full-blooded Native American. They're half something else, and it's not black. It's another ethnicity, and they almost didn't get on the tribal rolls, things like that. So I do agree that it will cause some conflict for most people, but I'm sure, I would say that there's probably some Native American people out there who are willing to hear it and willing to listen to it, because there's content makers out there right now. This one guy, and I don't know what kind of Native American. He's probably from a Latino, from a Spanish speaking country, but he's some kind of indigenous person or something. And and he's always speaking out about this type of stuff. So there are some that will believe it, but that is few and far between. I'm not going to be naive and say, oh, they're going to just go along with it and be like, oh, well, all right, that's cool. I know that, so I do agree that there will be some conflict, but like Brother Monty said, diplomacy, when you talk to people, there's going to be somebody that'll listen. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, and that's all it's about is it's some more science temples. That's people that know they're more, but different ideologies. It's not. It happens. It's on all walks of life, But coming in with a sound mind, you want to give the people that aren't the chiefs a chance to just hear it, and they might start. You know what? I want to roll with this. We here just to spread the light. We're not trying to convince nobody, but we want to give people a fair opportunity to hear the whole thing, and they might like what we're doing a little better, right? Never know. Um, Vernon Watson Bay, Islam.
Yeah, I get what the brother's coming from. That is going to cause conflict to tell this truth, because it is the truth. But at the end of the day, that sound personal to me. If you ask me, personal, and it's not to harbor any divide with any nation, but this truth is going to come out anyway, regardless. And we're even if we not telling the truth, it's coming out. So what the conflicts is going to happen because of people's heart. We're dealing with vibrating from above the heart chakra and realizing that that's an extreme, but there is an extreme on the other end where they're going to be reasonable, rational heads that's going to uh, move forward, and we're going to do something. We're looking at these two parallels where yes, there's going to be ignorance, but also there's going to be righteous people that do righteous things. I yield.
Islam. It's a great conversation. You got something?
Yeah, I got something. I just wanted to mention that I agree with everyone that there may be some pushback because I have heard of like people getting kicked out of tribes and things like that. And I think whoever resonates will, join in and, however that looks like, right? Whether it's resources, whether it's contribution, whether it's them spreading the light as well. Every little piece matters and how people want to respond to the information. And man, I just lost my thought. I don't know where I want to go with this. Um, hmm,
Okay.
yeah, I was going somewhere with it, but I agree. However, I do think it's still good to put the information out there
Mm,
to see, just, put the light out there.
Islam.
Mhm.
There's nothing we can do to stop it, right?
Yeah, it's gonna happen anyway, right? We just spearheading it. But the answer, you got something?
Yes, sir. It's on.
Islam.
Um, yes, sir. I do definitely agree with the campaign to reach out to the other tribes. I've been on that. I'm in communication with a few of them, and also though I'm aware, just like the other brother said, that there's a lodge system amongst those tribes, those new style indigenous tribal government Native Americans, and they have vowed not to allow the original man to ever learn how to run their tribal governments again. They're placeholders of that,
Mm,
so it is going to be some pushback.
Mm,
But at the same time, we still have to put the campaign together and let them know the truth, like who the original people are here. And when they talk about First Nations, like who they really talking about. It got to be put in some kind of diplomatic way, but it is gonna ruffle some feathers because their ancestors made deals with these people.
mm, mm.
And
Yeah,
then they talk about blood quantum and things like that. We know that you can become a member of a tribe based off of political affiliations. I politically agree with this. I can be a member of a tribe. You don't have to be blood quantum. Maybe when you first started, But tribal government is, in essence, spiritual government.
Mhm.
And from my view, looking at it. So, oh, and I also want to add this to you, just to bring it back to like more modern times. You mentioned Confederation and the Articles of Confederation. Um, there was a recent case last year, 2025, of the Muskogees. It was a Muskogee case that just got decided on, and it was in favor of the Muskogees. And when you look up them, or the Creek, the so-called Creek Indians, um, they were members of the five civilized tribes, and they were, along with the Cherokee and the Choctaw and whatnot. But it says specifically that the Muskogee was a confederation of townships. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow, that's deep, because we hear about all these towns and stuff that we had, and how I just heard recently that Tulsa, Oklahoma, when they did that, we hear about it. We hear about it's just one place, but the records show that that was 50 cities or 50 towns that they did that to. Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yes, sir, I
Now, what?
yield.
Islam.
Islam.
No,
I appreciate that, bro, because the fact that you brought up the point about, you don't have to have the blood. It could be like a political thing. So I think that's what these so-called natives of this land, that they named the natives of this land, because we know it's us. I think that that's what's going on. So that's why the United States Corporation gave them land and respect what they do and let them do whatever on their land. And they building all these casinos. It's just a money pot and all of that. Like, we supposed to be there, not with the casinos on our land, but we the ones that's supposed to have that land, not them. So, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Them people ain't gonna try, them people are not gonna give up their clout or give up their rank respectfully because we come with the truth and tell them, like, yo, this is wrong, and come calm, cool, not combative and everything. They still ain't gonna try to take they not gonna let us take their place, bro. So we up against a lot. But I hear y'all, Islam. I mean, if y'all want to share it with the Native Americans, I'm all for it. If that's what my grand sheep want me to do, I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? But I just got a bad feeling about it. Like, they ain't gonna just gracefully bow out. Oh, okay, y'all the Moors, you right, man. You just showed me this, brother. Let me go here and talk to this person. And you know, I
Yeah.
don't think they just gonna just fall back like that. And I yield.
Islam, real quick, Vernon, before I want to say this, that we have different types of Indian. Like I heard in the chat, somebody said, like you have our people that understand that Indian. You have our, quote unquote Indian. They might have heard it from their great grandmother. Because that, it's that type of space. Like in the family, they understood. Outside of the commercial tribe thing that's going on, we get that's been tainted. But on both fronts, we have people to talk to about this space, so we can get our pool bigger with the Moorish paradigm. Bernard Watson Bay.
Islam. I wanted just to mention of these concepts. We have to get more aligned with these concepts of like just a simple concept like the sovereigns, right? We represent that whole concept of the First Nation. We are those people, the First Nation. So we have that claim, right, of having the supreme interest in all the resources, all the land. We are the sovereigns. So it's not necessarily us appealing to them. It's more of us hiring our vibration. We have to get in a higher vibration as a people and operate in supreme law. But we're appealing to inferiors on our land. We're appealing to them. We have the superior position. So all we have to do is operate from that superior sovereign position. We don't think we're the sovereigns, so we're not operating as the sovereigns. Once we understand that concept, we don't have to appeal to no one. We just have to organize ourselves from the supreme position we already have.
Islam. Islam. And I agree. And the momentum, the momentum of what we're doing, like everybody's pretty much saying in the chat, it's undeniable. The information gonna come out regardless. And people gonna feel the way they're gonna feel, but we want to pour into what we're doing, um, so we can succeed. Now the missionary work and uplifting acts, that's what it comes with. We gonna hit the hedges and the highways with this info because that's what we're obligated to do. That's what we signed up for. Um, and it's a big pool of people, to deal with. But me personally, I feel like it'll be good. So somebody in the back can hear this. And I gave an example of even more science temples of America, people that are wearing fezzes and turbans that got different ideologies on the course of the movement. Even visiting those temples, giving a demonstration on an international perspective of the Moorish paradigm versus just like a club or a religious group or it's like his church. Um, it's a it's a bigger clip, and you got members in other temples that might like the way we're approaching it. It's the same thing. Anywhere where it says, um, people thinking outside the box a little bit, trying to organize a pro our people, we got to hit them with it. Hebrew Israelites, even if it's just family members. We don't got to pull up to their functions, or we can. It just depends. It's all about rapport. It's all about because let's say I met somebody that's the head of a tribe, right? I met him just on another tip, like how I'm in a union right now. I'll be going through the apprenticeship program in construction. Oh, because everybody wearing different hats, right? What do you do? What's your name? Oh, my name Mafi. I do this. I'm Grand Sheik of a temple. What? I'm a chief of, right? But we built a rapport, and then they receptive to the info. You know what? I want to bring this back to the clan. Now we got their heads bringing it back, and I'm more on that type of tip, Um, but if it's gonna be resistance, it's gonna be resistance, and then we'll just I'll remove myself from the situation with a smile and just know where it's at. But you know, we don't want to be we don't want to get to the point where we're discouraged to expand. Um, so let's go.
I have one more thing I want to.
Okay.
I remember what I was gonna say. Um, Going in with diplomacy, but also like going in to open up the heart chakra and understanding like they also have a history of everything that's gone on and meeting them kind of like where they're at on that. And actually, I know a nonprofit called Pathways. I don't know if you guys heard of it. There's one in Long Beach and there's one in Anaheim. They're like indigenous, like Native American kind of like organization. And I had been there before and I seen a melanated woman over there. And I was talking to her and she's like, yeah, my family from this tribe, I'm just learning, getting into this information. It was I think she's in law. Remember? I told you she was a lawyer. And they embraced her and everything. So that'd be a way, like an organization that's open to this kind of information to where we can go speak with them because they already know, right? If they're accepting her in, she can get resources from them, all this kind of stuff. She studies in law. I think I forgot exactly. I have her phone number though. But yeah, that'd be one of the ways, right? We can go straight to the tribes or we can go to these nonprofits that have people that are part of tribes, right? Because when we go sign in, everyone's writing down what tribe they're from and everything. So that's the way in to go speak to different members of the tribe. So I just wanted to put that in there. And yeah, just put out with an intelligent tone and really show like the information in the books and things like that, like how you've been approaching it over at the college. Because they don't even know their history is all messed up as well. They might know some of it, but they know some of their history is hidden just like the Moors, right? So, meeting them in that space, I feel like there could be an understanding. There may be pushback, but you start somewhere, right?
Right. Right. Um, let's do one more round for thoughts on this space before we transition to non-L demonstration.
Islam.
Islam.
Just like you were saying, I think you were having a conversation earlier, but like you said, as we move if we were moving as a unit, we would be that what people can see, and they can also, when they see us move as a unit, most will start gravitating towards that because as they would see us moving as a nation, like the Prophet Noble requires that we move as a nation rather than moving as an individual. So once they see that and they get to, it's well known because right now, we're not as much moving as a unit, but we're starting to gain foot. And once we gain foot, then most of the stuff that we're saying and talking about, um, those things right there will be more implemented in the things that we are saying, especially going and talking to these chiefs and others. They would be able to, like you were, I think I heard you earlier saying, once you come across people like this, they'll say, hey, let's go to the Moorish community to see what they're like. Right now, if they were to ask that, we don't have a Moorish community to go to. So they can't really come and um, look up on and see what our customs are and everything like that. Islam.
Mhm.
Islam. Great. That's excellent. I'm glad you said that because that's the bottom line. We can tell people
Islam.
what the Moors were about how great we were, but we're the demonstration right now, as far as
Islam.
infrastructure.
Islam.
Islam.
I I appreciate everybody's insight because I am having a battle within myself, Grand Sheik, as far as spreading the information, because I feel paranoid to like spread the information to somebody that does not look like me, because I feel like there's going to be conflict involved. You know what I'm saying? But I know your mission. I know your vision. You know, to unite humanity, not just copper tone people, but everyone. And that's a battle that I have to conquer within myself. And I'll be honest with you, I just feel in my soul, like my intuition be like, yo, I should go to a brother and spit this information more so than an albionic person or a so-called Native American person or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So that's something that I have to conquer within myself. So I do sincerely apologize for the way I feel. But like I told you from the beginning when I met you, I keep my integrity intact regardless whether, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna keep it real and tell the truth. So that's where I'm at. So I have to learn to spread it to more people than just my people. And I yield.
I want
Islam.
to add something real quick.
Oh,
Um,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, sister. 'Cause I was
oh,
going to comment also.
okay, I know. So don't apologize for how you feel about this information and how we're trying to go about things because just like we were saying that, there is no community together yet, right? So even going out to some moors and then the information is still part of the work, right? So however you want to go about it, you're still doing the work. And it's okay to feel that way, because there is going to be pushback. We're all saying it, we're all agreeing on it, that we understand what's happened and what potentially can happen when we do this, right? But it's the truth, but I just want to say that it's okay to like have your feelings on that.
Mhm. Islam. Kiki.
Yeah, I just wanted to say basically the same thing in a way. I totally understand how you feel about that because first and foremost, this information should go to our people first
Mhm.
before it goes to any other group of people. So I agree with you on that. I don't disagree with you on that. Because we have to educate ourselves before we even try to even talk to anybody else.
Mhm.
Number two, there is going to be some pushback. You're right, and I understand the paranoid feeling because you don't know how the reaction is going to be. Because we got so many people brainwashed by the government, and you also have to know that Native American people. I mean, on the one hand, they're trying to maintain their tribal culture from what they know, from what their history is that they've been taught, or their history that they have within their tribes, but also there's money involved.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
there's money involved in and
Right.
and being a certain identity. There's money behind that identity and legal status and everything else that goes behind that. And so most people are not going to be willing to give up their legal status for somebody else. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
just human nature. I'm not giving up my legal status for somebody else that came and told me some story, whether it was true or not, right off the back.
Mhm.
So I totally understand how you feel. You're not wrong really for feeling like that, because this is a, it's our experience. So, but like, but still, like, the information does have to get out there. But I agree that we do have to spread that information to ourselves before anybody else.
Islam. And I wanted to say with that, um, the black, Negro, colored, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, Indian paradigm fell the most as far as consciousness. People classified as black, Negro, colored have fell from the light the most. We're doing the worst. So that's why it's important for us to bring it to our people like that, because they just in a dark period. But you have what the prophet called sympathizers to the movement. They have a little more culture. They have their towns and communities, but they also know the information we're talking about is the truth, because they know it. Anybody from the East that you start talking about the land before the United States, they're like, oh yeah, that's true. And they happy the fact that you know it, that it was bigger than you were just a slave. And you know that. And you're trying to get that back cracking. They gonna assist. And they typically 9 times out of 10, they financially are doing well because they got their own communities where they know their culture. And that's why they're doing well, because they're already working with each other. So the reason I say appeal to people like that, the Lebanese or Cambodians or Vietnamese, Malaysians, these people already know what we're talking about to be true. They just come over here in North America and see like we just gang members, NBA, NFL. They see we in that space, we killing each other. So they kind of touchy on dealing with us. But once we show and prove, now we got more people that's willing to assist in what we're doing. Because we need finance. We need people to do like these type of think tanks that we're having. You have people that's on the planet that got a nice network, and you know what that network is. They could bring value to what we're doing. So I wanted to say that too. Yes, the first wave is the black Negro color issue, our thinking of people. But then there's 2 tiers. I guess a great way to summarize this is 2 tiers to what we're doing. We're trying to reach our people that sleep, and then we're trying to appeal to people that know their no culture, but also know they come from us and more than happy to assist us because how we're coming intellectually about it. And these two things are kind of working hand in hand. Brother Jarrell, peace and love, man.
Peace and love.
Peace and love. I'm gonna send you the recording to this because this was some heat in the beginning. I want you to, take notes like we took notes in class, man. Take notes. You feel me? Any other thoughts before we transition to non-nails demonstration? All right. So Islam, Azrael.
Real quick, I didn't want to leave without giving, my perspective on if you guys are still on that subject. My phone kept cutting in and off. But as far as demonstrating with the Native Americans, one thing I can only give from from my standpoint, my perspective, what I've experienced being going to sweat ceremony every 2 weeks with these the Native American cultures and different tribes and stuff. Um, they know me, they recognize me as a Moorish American Muslim, and that one thing I've learned, although I know the history, I know certain stuff they probably don't know or they probably do know. I've learned to just lead by example. You feel me? Be that representation instead of because I'm pretty sure like I agree with it what everybody's saying. I mean, it will be some pushback. It will be like some some envious type of demonstrate, but my character, it say Jesus said in the Moorish Quran, my words, actions, and deeds to be proof of my messiahship. So one thing I've learned without, and I don't want to create no confusion and no, you feel me, no type of conflict. I just, stand on my square as a Moorish American Muslim and unify with them. I go to their ceremonies, we eat together, we do a bunch of things. And they know about the Moors. They know about I think it's an actual unrecognized tribe called the Washita Nation or something that's under the Moorish Science Temple of America or something like that. I'm not too familiar with that.
Yeah.
But also, even in like, I'm also a member of a discreet lodge. I'm not no Mason or nothing, but it's a lot of Masons in there. When I go into these places, I see Moorish signs and Moorish heritage everywhere. One thing I don't do, I just like kind of like take it in. I don't try to, me personally, I don't try to, put my beliefs or understanding on them, because sometimes they don't even know what it is. I see, I can see it, but my character speaks a lot to the point it makes them interested. Then they want to ask questions. You feel me? And again, I only give spoon feed. I don't want to go too much because I'm not trying to give nobody like an ego collapse or hurt their ego or anything. It's about unity, unifying, and being recognized by all nations of the earth. With me, I yield.
Yes, I'm glad you said that. So we got two people in the chat, three people in the chat. Ansar, Kiki, and Azrael that have ties and dealings with the quote unquote Native American community. So maybe we can invite me out sometime with y'all. I would love to continue that and demonstrate high culture, you know, being respectful, and just that goes a long way. After about 3 visits doing that, it could lead to something. You never know. So, you know, I wanted to add that too. All right, so let's transition to Nine Nails demonstration. Um, I'll let you give background on it and stuff like that.
Okay.
Let me know when y'all can see the screen.
We got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, I recently started a doula training class, and there was some history.
Hold on. Make sure everybody know what a doula is in the chat. Or everybody. Is anybody that does not know what a doula is?
Know what is?
A doula.
A doula? Nah, I ain't never heard of that. What's that?
Okay. Well, let's get into it. So, in ancient times, right? When women were giving birth, they were midwives. They were pretty much helpers, is what they call them. Women helpers for anyone that was giving birth. And there would be a midwife, the person that would catch the baby and, do all the medical things. And then you have the doula, which would provide the physical, emotional support, check on the woman. Um, so that was something that's gone on through time for a long time, right? Women assisting other women. And that's pretty much the matriarch, right? We know that all life comes through the womb, right? And they had helpers to do that, because it is a very spiritual experience when a woman is giving birth. Did that kind of give you like a little bit of idea, like doula? I just want to like summarize just a little bit what a doula is, so you can go into like the history.
Everybody clear? Everybody good?
Islam. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good. Islam.
Okay. All right. So I went to this doula training class, and I'm going to be doing it for the next few weeks. And they're teaching us a lot of history, and it's very opposing to what we know today in like the hospital settings. And it's actually very, very it's disturbing, I have to say. When I go over some of this information, it's going to be a little disturbing, and we can go past some things, but there are some things I found in here pretty interesting. And there's actually there's spiritual war going on, but there's also reproductive war going on as well. And this is why I want to share it with the group. And we're not recording this. No, we're not recording this, right?
Oh, yeah, let me stop the recording. Yeah, because she got some intellectual property from this people that gave her a scholarship to attend this, so we'll respect that.